going on with all this Telltale stuff because it was so weird.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Sucks.
Also, heads up, Andre, you're a little quiet.
Oh, I am?
Yep. It's not ultra quiet, just like a little bit.
Is that better?
Yes.
Okay. I just turned up the gain.
Cool. Yeah, as long as you don't start screaming, it should probably be all right.
I was going to do my best Maximum the Hormone impression, but I guess I'll hold off.
I do love Maximum the Hormone.
They made a whole single about changing record labels.
With their singer playing drums on...
Yeah.
on whatever.
He's injured, so they put him on drums.
That's really funny.
That's great.
Right. The video is up, but I'm just going to make a few edits.
I'll share it to my Facebook.
I need to upgrade my computer at some point. It is chugging along while also streaming.
Yeah, now that I'm getting kind of interested in streaming, I'm like, maybe I should upgrade my computer. It's mostly fine, but it can chug.
Yeah. Like right now, I'm just typing in Firefox, and there's like a 1 second lag between everything I'm typing and what shows up.
Oh, that's the worst.
So it's not good.
Ripperoni.
All right. Save. Now that should add a tag for y'all.
Yeah.
And one more thing, and then we're Gucci to go. Yeah, we were just talking before you came in about how we both brought like 3 things. And we're like, we probably won't talk about them. But then we're like, oh wait, this is a tiny cast.
Maybe we can talk. Yeah, I didn't know Sam wasn't going to be here. I thought we were going to both talk about Dragon Quest, but guess it's just me. I don't know if I have much to say about that anyways yet.
Have you hosted more episodes than Sam has at this point?
No.
It's probably so. We're at what, 38, so you've probably done like 12 and the rest were him?
Probably, yeah. I didn't really start hosting until like the summer because that's when he kind of disappeared.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hosted one once, but that was it.
And then didn't Pat do a few?
Did he?
Did he? Did he not? I don't know. I thought he did. Maybe you were hosting when I thought he was hosting.
I hosted once, but that was about it.
Because there were.
I only remember you and Sam hosting. But...
Maybe you were gone when Pat hosted too. I don't know. Alex would know. Maybe I don't even know.
I think I was gone too.
It's just Pat by himself. No, Pat and Erica. Was there one? No, you were on the one with Xavier, weren't you, Alex? I don't even know.
No, I don't think so.
I was on the one with Xavier.
I think that's the one where I missed.
Okay. I don't even know.
Is that the one I hosted? Or the one you hosted? I don't know. I honestly don't remember, and I don't want to go back and listen to the one that I hosted.
All right. We're all good to go on this end, I'm pretty sure.
Is Erica going to be on this one, or are we just...
She has disappeared.
It says us.
Yeah, it says Erica joined the video stream.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, I think she's watching. I think she was up to something or other.
Okay.
And there, send that to Pat. Okay, we're good.
Okay, so no Erica?
I think she replied with not going to our event.
Okay.
I think she said maybe last night that she can't go.
Oh, okay. Interesting. I missed it. Oh, well. Okay. Let's see. So episode 38. Okay. Are we ready?
Hell yeah.
Okay. Hello, and welcome to Gaming Fix episode 38 on this September 22nd, 2018. I'm your host, Andre Cole, and I regret to inform you that we are shuttering this podcast effective immediately, being let go.
Will we
of
still at least
holiness.
finish The Walking Dead?
No.
No. The Walking Dead, we actually stopped making The Walking Dead in season 4. After they left the prison. I don't know if that was season 4. Once they left the prison, it's just it's all bad. My girlfriend was in the top ranked clan in one of those in like the Walking Dead game on phones. Like it was basically like one of those Clash of Clan games. She was like the top player or like number 2 player
In the world?
or like her region. I don't know.
Wow.
I don't know.
That's impressive though.
And then
Region
she
or world,
left. She was like poached or like paid to like help another clan. I
weird.
don't know. Yeah.
Maybe good to get that money, I guess.
What?
Yeah. I don't even know. She was helping boost them. Elo boosting. Also, that is Allison Saigan that you hear.
Hi.
Also joining us. Also not getting severance.
Nope. But I worked a ton of crunch for it, so
You can talk to your podcast union rep about your options going forward. But you still are required to work through the end of today. So
okay, good.
yeah, you're legally required. There's nothing you can do. I will call the police if you leave. And so I would like to hear your legally mandated opinions on some video games.
Well, as long as they're legally mandated, I'm happy to share.
I've got a lawyer friend now, and she will sue you if you do perjury on this podcast.
Good to know.
I'm not actually threatening legal action. I want to be clear. I think that gets my friend in trouble.
But you are
very weird.
You are dragging your friend into this, though.
Absolutely.
Yep.
She tried to listen once, and there was just a bunch of static. I don't know what happened. It was bad. It might have been live, and there's like some technical difficulties. I don't know.
Yikes.
No, that's working as intended.
I think we knew about those technical difficulties. We discovered them.
Oh, okay. I was worried, like, ooh, if you listen back to all of our episodes, it's just static.
Yeah. 65 days of static. I think that's where we're going with this.
Wow.
If Pat was here, he'd really like that joke.
Rest in peace.
Rest in love. Love and peace? I don't know.
Just keep digging your hole. I'm not helping you.
Anyway, speaking of loving things to pieces, Alex has some video games that he loves.
Absolutely. I didn't even tell you guys what they were, so everything is a surprise.
Surprise, yeah.
So, do you want the big one? Do you want the long one? Or do you want Telltale?
Maybe since we've already kind of hinted about it, let's maybe get Telltale out of the way.
Yeah, so, dude, what happened to Telltale? I mean, we had long discussions about that in our group chat, but we haven't...
According to some tweets I saw, the most verified of information, basically everything they made after The Walking Dead Season 1 was a commercial failure.
Right, so that is... Tales from the Borderlands, that is Minecraft story mode, that
was the only thing that was successful for them after the Walking Dead.
I was wondering about that,
because
I felt like that couldn't be non-successful.
Yeah, and I remember the feedback, I remember the reception rather being very positive around it.
So yeah, it was Tales from the Borderlands, The Wolf Among Us, Batman. I think Batman was their biggest failure, commercially. It seemed to be critically well received, but didn't move numbers.
Right. They were working on
Guardians of the Galaxy.
Oh yeah, right.
Oh, that's right.
But they
And
were
also
working.
Stranger Things.
Yeah, they were working on
Game of-
Stranger Things. That's what I was gonna say.
Game of Thrones, that was seemed to be kind of their most critically panned one.
Right.
And I played a couple of episodes of that, and I was not really into it.
I think I got it for free on Android or something, but I never played it.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
this is kind of a bummer. I feel like if you'd asked me like 4 or 5 years ago if what one of my favorite devs would be, I might list Telltale. Just because I do like the single player story driven experience, even though that the games kind of all fell into similar kind of ended up being pretty similar. I still valued that kind of single player experience, but I just kind of fell off of them a while back, and I haven't really played a new Telltale game in a couple of years at this point. So
It was the trajectory they took was really fascinating though, because
yeah,
their early games were just straight up LucasArts scum style adventure games. So you had your Monkey Islands and Sam and Max and the Strong Bad cool game for attractive people or whatever it was called. And they all kind of fell into that 90s adventure game trope, and like they were all kind of clunky and janky and like not super fun. Like you still need to use a guide at some points, like just being like, okay, I attach the fish to the fishing rod and then I throw it through a window or something like that. And it's like, that isn't obvious. But The Walking Dead, when that came out in 2012, I think, like
yeah.
that was the first one they did that really changed up the formula and really, 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 really hit. And like it was the biggest game that year. It won a lot of Game of the Years. It took the world by storm, and it was like extreme. It was just extremely good. And then it seemed like within the next year they suddenly took on every project in the world. Like the Game Awards that happened the next year, there was at least 3 or 4 trailers for new Telltale games that happened that year.
They ballooned so fast. Like they changed offices, and then like a year later they had to move offices again. Was the story that I heard?
Yeah, and they were dealing with such expensive licenses too. It wasn't just growth; it was growth, but with other expectations from other companies, and that must have been tough.
And they kept putting off like improving their engine. Like,
Yeah,
and so every release had like the same bugs, which would like save bugs and crashing and stuff like that. I lost my like for season 1 of The Walking Dead, I lost my save like multiple times.
oof.
And so I just have to start over and say like, oh, here's what I did in the previous episode or whatever, or like determine what I did in the previous episode. And if that just kept carrying through, like, what the hell? That's like Bethesda levels of like, why do these same bugs keep showing up in these games in the future?
Yeah, and
Shouldn't you have worked that out?
yeah, and wasn't the plan that after this current Walking Dead season they were going to overhaul their engine?
Or like move to like
Something like
Unity or something? Yeah, they were
Right.
like basically was going to be all new stuff, but that does not seem to be the case anymore.
Yeah.
Right.
But
Well,
yeah, it's
yes.
just super nuts. Like do you guys personally think that the reason people didn't jump back into Telltale games is maybe because they saturated their own market?
I mean, it very well could be, because I was a big Telltale person, but I just at a certain point was like, I just didn't really see a reason to buy the new games. And I mean, part of that is my own personal interest, because I've heard Batman is good, but Batman's not really necessarily a license that really moves me to buy something right away. So it was something that I was maybe gonna wait for on sale, but I don't know. It's I think that it might have oversaturated the own market, and also I do think that part of it is the over reliance on very expensive licenses.
Yeah, after I played Walking Dead season 1, season 2, and then I never really touched the series or any of the Telltale games again.
I'm a big fan of the Wolf Among Us, which yesterday I in several different Facebook groups and on Twitter I was just like, give me the Wolf Among Us season 2, because that's my big gamer takeaway from this note.
Yeah, and it was announced, wasn't it?
Yep, it was announced. It was announced a while ago, and they were working on it, and it was theoretically supposed to come out, I think, start coming out early next year. So Yeah, but it looks like they're canceling Walking Dead final season in the middle of the season. They're not going to finish it, and they're just finishing up some stuff for Netflix, I think, from like contractual obligation, but that's about it. So that's a real bummer for people who bought the entirety of the Walking Dead final season and won't get to get it finished.
And apparently it was really good so far too.
Yeah, I was looking to play it because I loved the first two seasons, and I was looking forward to. I didn't actually play the third season, but because I was looking to play both of them, but just never did.
When it was coming out, I had it open on my Steam page. I was like, oh, maybe I'll pick that up when it finishes up. But
Yeah.
now, rest in peace.
Yeah.
I wonder if, like, because I heard it appears that this is due to bankruptcy, is why like the sudden shutdown and like why everyone's just being terminated, no severance. So I wonder what's going to happen with those games on Steam and like other distribution services. Like, will they be kept up and used to pay off debt? Used to pay off debts, or are they going to be taken down or whatever? I don't know.
Or is it going to go THQ where they auction off all their assets?
Oh, well, THQ Nordic is going to buy all their IP, so actually they probably can't because it's all like licensed stuff. But
in Deep Silver.
I think THQ Nordic owns Deep Silver.
Is that the way it works? I thought it was the other way around.
No, it's THQ Nordic bought or like acquired Koch Media, which owned Deep Silver, I think. That's how it happened.
Okay. That makes sense.
I saw that I'm hoping that all the employees are going to be fine. It looks like I saw a couple of tweets from like Ubisoft San Francisco basically offering like, hey, let's talk about jobs. So they're having like a dinner for ex-Telltale folk, and so
Ubisoft is big, but they can't just hire 225 people.
Right. But I mean, that's definitely Ubisoft stuff is doing that, and I think that there's I think that I feel like I saw some others, either studio or
Valve.
Somebody
Valve,
like
Arcane. Lots of studios are like, hey, we've got openings, or I think Sony Santa Monica was like saying stuff, and like that would be like story-driven games from the Santa Monica studios. I imagine the Microsoft Santa Monica studio is probably still staffing up, and that seems like the kind of group of people they would want to maybe pull from, at least for narrative stuff.
I would think with Valve, basically, if Campo Santo is in there now, they would want a bunch of those people too.
Shit, that would actually be really cool if Campo Santo and ex-Telltale people worked on a project together. That I would actually really love that.
The Vortigaunts will remember that.
Honestly, I'm at the point where I know Half-Life 3 is a meme, but if they did like a Telltale style thing to finish up the story in Half-Life, I would accept it.
The G-Man will remember that.
Yeah, but the one thing that we haven't really mentioned is a lot of stuff's coming out with a lot of kind of negative reports about working at Telltale, which kind of is a bummer, but
is not surprising.
No, I mean, I don't know if I'd be surprised with pretty much any studio, to be perfectly honest.
I would love to see a lot of those developers go to like Fulbright also, but
it's such a small, like, I wonder what they would, I wonder what that would even do to their like projects. Would that speed things up because suddenly it's not like 9 people or whatever, or would it just like expand the scope? I don't know. That'd be an interesting thing. I think that would be a good fit, maybe.
Yeah, but no. Regardless, I think it's a super huge bummer that it happened so quickly. Like I didn't see in any of the news. Did they have the 38 studio situation of missing payroll, or was it just all of a sudden just like kind of everybody knew the management was kind of meh and they were treated kind of meh, and then it just kind of ended? Or
I haven't seen anything about missing payroll. It just seems like, hey, effective immediately, you're let go. I don't know if they're gonna get a final paycheck. Like, there's no severance.
Yeah.
So and like, like The Walking Dead, the final season has episode 2 coming out on like Tuesday, and that's gonna be the final episode. It's like episode 2 of like a 5-episode or 6-episode thing, but it's ending after episode 2 for obvious reasons, while like the last 25 people or whatever finish off whatever Minecraft thing I think is what is reported.
For Netflix, yeah.
So it doesn't seem like there was any indication, kind of like how Bosky, it's this similar thing. It's just like, hey, effective immediately, like no kind of, heads up.
Yeah,
Like-
so it's looking like it's pretty sudden. I'm just quickly looking on Twitter, and it looks like, at least from what I can see, it was just kind of like something that people found out. The studio is being shuttered.
So it wasn't really telegraphed.
Yeah, that's what it seems like. But I can't say for sure.
That's super nuts. I'm almost tempted to pick up this final season of The Walking Dead just to see how they handle the ending of episode 2. Like, are they going to have like a title card at the end that says "Thanks for playing"? There's no more, or are they going to
like
insert a scene that has like?
Well, it's not even. I mean, I guess some of the people working on like the whatever, like the 25 people left could do something, but like everyone who worked on that game is now gone.
Yeah.
Right.
Like, are they gonna?
Everyone who worked on that game is gone.
And if nobody knew up until yesterday that this
they
closing.
probably weren't working on that.
Yeah.
That's true. I would love to see if one of the artists just goes in, makes like a concept art, like single page thing with a picture of oh god, what's the girl's name from Walking Dead?
Clementine?
Clementine, yes, just Clementine dabbing or something, and it just says "lol" or it's just we're done, or like approaching it with a sense of humor or something.
Yeah,
Clementine taking a shit on Lee's face,
or just like. No, yeah, that's better than what I was gonna say. I was gonna say a gif of her just like friggin' flossing or something, but yeah, that's better.
She can shit and floss at the same time. She's a talented young woman.
But yeah, people are people are also trying to find see if there'll be any refunds for final season, and we'll see.
Probably not.
I very heavily doubt that.
Yeah, exactly. Like, where would they get that money? But I'm increasingly glad that I did not purchase that.
Maybe, yeah. It's.
If you can purchase them piecemeal, maybe. But
yeah, but I mean, I bet most people probably bought the full season.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
So,
yeah.
That sucks. I hope everyone who was affected is able to deal with that. Like they were San Francisco studio, right?
Yeah, they were.
Yep.
That makes the no severance stuff extra shit. So hopefully they land on their feet quick and don't have to move to like another country or even like halfway across the country. But yeah, sucks.
Rest in peace. I'm lighting a candle for you, Telltale.
Yep.
At least Clementine in The Walking Dead is gonna live forever because she won't have to finish the story.
Finish the fight. Also, there are people who are like, why don't you guys finish the game for free for like passion because you love it? And like, what the that's what people are saying to the Walking Dead devs. Like, what the fuck?
Like,
fuck off.
You gotta find a job.
I feel like
One, they don't have, without working at Telltale, they don't have a license. That's like the least important part of it. Two, they're not gonna make 3 more episodes of the game without getting paid.
Yeah.
And they can't pay like the voice actors. They can't pay.
Yeah.
I wonder if someone is going to accidentally leak the script or something for the last couple episodes.
I would not be surprised.
I wonder, because it's tied up in that, or not, it's licensing stuff. I wonder if they could get away with that. I mean, it's not like tied to the show or anything, so
I don't know how that works.
Maybe they do what that guy did for Half-Life 3 or whatever, and just change the names.
Yeah. I read that.
That would be very good. but I imagine it won't be left, like the story itself will have some kind of resolution through some kind of leak or something like that, and then I don't know, maybe a fan will make the last couple episodes themselves. Because passion project, right? Yeah. Anyways, Telltale. That's super bummer and super surprising. So, yeah, I've been playing games. Neither of which are much lighter. They're both pretty dark. Let's go for one of these, which will be more like a check-in.
Shit in your games. Now I understand why you don't sleep, because you got that 0.9999 if whatever 0.3333 is equal to 1/3, then you have to accept that 3/3 is
and then
0.9999.
that particular scene kept going and talking about how you can explain infinity and how an infinitely large circle will essentially be a straight line. Because at some point the radius doesn't matter when you see 0.999 is equal to 1. Like that kind of stuff. So that's a visual novel called Wonderful Everyday.
Yeah,
which
I thought you were back on that bullshit.
Yeah, so the last time I played that was back in March, and then I stepped away because the plot took some weird twist. I was like, oh, I don't know if I can do this right now, and then I just got sidetracked with a bunch of other stuff. So yeah, I jumped back into Wonderful Everyday. And it's been hard to come back to because when I played it in March, I was about 27 hours in. And that is a very, very, very complex, heavy story with a lot of characters. So I had to like recontextualize. I had to spend like an hour and a half just scrubbing through Let's Plays and just like being like, oh yeah, okay, yep, okay. Recontextualizing everything. And yeah, I finished another ending last night. There's like 12 or 13 endings. Each of them takes about 5 or 6 hours, I think, more or less. And yeah, coming back to it, I can still say basically everything I said before. It's like one of the most intelligently written game stories or visual novel stories I've ever seen. They like in that ending I finished, they talked about classic French literature, advanced mathematics, which was also used to prove or disprove the existence of God. Deep talks about philosophical topics and ethics, LGBTQ relationships, mental health, the duplicity of responsibility of the self to responsibility to others, and a lot of other stuff. Like, it's really, it tackles a lot of stuff, and it does it very intelligently.
When you sent that screenshot of like the circle discussion, like that was like, man, this game just seems like some bullshit. Like faux intellectual, like, oh, we're gonna say something, but like if it actually goes into depth with that stuff, then that's cool.
It does. It's really
just seeing like those clips, I'm like, come on.
Yeah, like I was worried that it was going to be a little pretentious. Like I think that's kind of how some of those can come across, but I would say it's actually really grounded and it's well researched in everything it talks about. Like it almost like throws references at you, being like, oh yeah, read this book if you want to learn more, kind of stuff. Like, which was kind of cool. Like a large part of the recent plot points was surrounded by Cyrano de Bergerac, if you've ever read that book.
He's got a big nose, right?
Yep, got a big nose. There was the Steve Martin movie called Roxanne, which was based on the story. That one, like
a the man situation.
Yep. It was really, the way they incorporated Cyrano into their story was actually really fascinating, and it was really cool. That being said, I still can't recommend that game to anyone here. Though it's super intelligent, it has a really fantastic story that's weaved in an amazing way. It's still extremely explicit with a lot of really sensitive topics in a way that, like, I think a lot of people would find tough to stomach. Like, it's not that it's insensitive with the portrayal, it's that it's like, it doesn't pull any punches ever. And it's pretty rough.
You want some sensitive lewdness, or I don't even know. I've been playing Yakuza. There's some stuff in that.
Yeah, but I'm talking about like graphic depictions of rape. Like, it's really, really unpleasant. Like, it's like, yes, it handles them well, but I think it would be really, really difficult for a lot of people.
Yeah.
Yeah. So. When you first described that, when you keep describing it, it's. I feel like I, on the one hand, kind of want to try to play that game just because the story sounds really interesting. but I just don't know if I'm ever going to be in a space where I really want to deal with that. So
Yeah.
it's I think it's going to be kind of permanently on my Steam wish list, and
Yeah, I am going to finish it hopefully by next week. I looked at how long to beat. It's about a 55-hour game. I'm about 35 hours in, so I'll tell you how it ends if you want, but it's not going to make any damn
take you up.
it's not going to make any damn sense because it's really, the story is really nuts. So yeah, that's Wonderful Everyday is one of the 2 games that I've been playing. The other one also came out in 2012, actually, similar to The Walking Dead. And that is a little game called Spec Ops: The Line. So Cheska recently installed it, and she's like, yeah, like, I've heard you talk good things about this game. I'm going to try it. And I was like, yeah, you should. And I was really curious, does that game hold up 6 years later? And yeah, very much so. I would say it holds up extremely well. The gameplay is still ass. You still have to set it to easy, but like the narrative stuff that it tackles is just really, really insane. And I don't think any game has come back and done it. No other game has come back and done the thing where your squad and Nolan North, their dialogue changes throughout the entire game, or like your reload sound changes as they get more and more scared or frustrated or whatever the case might be. Like, it's just such a cool game.
Yeah. Who made that?
I actually listened to a podcast that GameSpot did, a spoiler cast with the lead writer of it. And it's a really, really, really good podcast. I would recommend it. It's not on the GameSpot site anymore. They took it down, I think, when they had some database transfer and lost it. But you can, if you Google the keywords, GameSpot gameplay, gameplay is the name of the podcast. Spec Ops Spoilercast. So GameSpot gameplay, Spec Ops Spoilercast, yeah. And you pull up a YouTube video, that's the full podcast, and it's about an hour long. Jeff Gerstmann is on it as well, and it's really crazy. To talk about why it's really crazy would need to spoil the end of the game. I don't know. Are we cool with randomly spoiling Spec Ops?
I mean, it's 6 years old.
Yeah, it's kind of past the statute of limitations on that, I think.
People have talked about it quite a bit. So I think if we want to talk about it, right, we're good.
So if anyone listening has not played Spec Ops: The Line, big flashing spoiler warning right here. Have you both played it?
Yes.
I actually never finished it, but I played a decent amount of it.
Okay.
Did you?
But I know that.
Okay, you know.
I know the. Yeah.
Yeah. So one of the things that there's some people have pointed out that there's some pretty decently big plot holes in that game. That like, why didn't he notice that there was no batteries in his radio and stuff like that, or like why did hid squad mates go along with this, like, kind of thing. Like, if they could see that what he was doing was so crazy, like, why did they follow him? And in that spoiler cast, as well as a couple other analyses I looked into, there's actually the devs have basically confirmed that the main character Walker actually died in the helicopter crash.
What?
And that, like, it is actually foreshadowed throughout the entire, like, intro section, because the intro section basically starts with that helicopter crash. If you look around, like, on the posters is actually his face, and there's like big drapes across buildings that are his face as well. But if you're not paying attention to it, like, it's kind of subtle. And like basically his squad was already dead, and like, if you play the game at the up until the helicopter, your squad like interacts with you in a very direct way, but afterwards they don't. Like, they it's kind of like a Fight Club kind of thing almost, where it's like, yeah, they're not actually making any kind of difference with anybody. It's all him.
Yeah, like, if he doesn't, god damn it, why is everyone just like, oh, they were dead the whole time? This Squall's dead now. This guy's dead. I think that if he's dead like the whole time, or like dying or whatever, I think that cheapens the rest of the game. Like the rest of the story, if he's dead and or dying.
I think that they're so ambiguous with it, though, that I think it doesn't ruin the game. I think it's an interpretation, so it could be however you want it to be. But
yeah, I just mean that specific reading. I think that really takes away from the rest of what that story does.
Yeah.
If he's dead and or dying.
But yeah, I think it does do a lot that I wish other games would take up on. Like, this came out when Modern Warfare 3 and Battlefield 4 were coming out, so like some of the biggest first-person shooter franchises, right? That their stories are just so, yeah, military guy, blow stuff up, woo. And then this game is basically like taking a lot of those tropes and having very standard gameplay, and then being like, yo, war causes PTSD, and like you're having a hugely detrimental effect to the civilians in this area. And like,
I mean,
the closer
Black Ops did a little bit, like Black Ops 1 kind of, but that was more like
it did. And Far Cry
brainwashing.
2 actually did as well, but I think this one might have handled it the best personally.
Yeah.
Like it just has, like, as I was playing, I was like, man, there's a lot of subtle detail in this that like is kind of nuanced. Like how the enemies at the start are kind of like they're just very normal first person shooter, I'm gonna fight you enemies, and then as you get closer to the end, like, you can tell they're actually afraid of you, and rather than engage, they're trying to run away. Like stuff like that. Yeah, it's still totally worth playing 6 years later. I think it is. I'm not going to call it a masterpiece because it really isn't. I'm not even going to call it a flawed masterpiece because yes, it is very flawed, but it holds up.
Yeah, they've that studio had a game last year called Dreadnought.
Yeah,
It's a
Jaeger
flight
Studio.
simulator. And yeah, Jaeger. And then they've got one coming out this year called The Cycle. Match-based FPS. Oh well. Yeah. So, is that all you have today?
Yes, sir. Those three. Well, three including Telltale.
Well, how about Allison crosses the start line to tell us the tale of Dragon Quest?
Sounds good. So this week was kind of like a hodgepodge of a lot of different stuff. Mostly because last weekend I finished Spider-Man, which we're going to be talking about tomorrow. We're going to be doing a quick spoiler cast about that, so I'll save most of my Spider-Man thoughts for the special episode about it. But it's really good, so that's like my basic thought is that I really loved it. So
spoiler warning, please.
Spoiler warning. Spider-Man is a very good game, and I really liked the gameplay and story. So I just started playing Dragon Quest 11. I'm only a few hours in, so since it's a JRPG, that's basically like I've just gotten some tutorial stuff, but it hasn't grabbed me yet. But
have you killed any slimes?
I have killed.
Okay.
This is a Dragon Quest game, of course. I've killed slimes.
Have you pet any kitty cats?
Not yet.
I've only ever played like 2 hours of 8.
But it's just visually extremely charming. All the enemy designs are extremely cute, which is and it's a really gorgeous game. Like walking through the cities, it's really lovely so far. So I think the combination of it being really beautiful and having kind of really funny and charming enemy designs is going to be enough to kind of propel me to at least give it a longer shot to grab me. Again, it's just like the combat isn't real. The actual fights aren't really doing much for me, but hopefully if I can get past that, it'll be enjoyable. I feel like for JRPG combat, Persona and Octopath Traveler have kind of ruined me, because going back to this, I'm like, what? I can't do the break mechanic. I can't. What is this? What is this game? It's not. I
Go
can't.
all in.
Yeah, I can't go all in. Like, what's going on? So I think that there is a little bit more strategy once you get more party members. So far I only have 2, so hopefully, yeah. But it's again, it's kind of there's a couple of elements of it that are also kind of weird. Like some of the menu decisions make zero sense. Like the character upgrade, like to upgrade your character, that's under the miscellaneous in the menu for some reason.
What?
And I'm like, right? And I'm like, wait, so you have to click on miscellaneous and then like the character upgrade thing. And I'm like, why is this under miscellaneous when this seems like it would be like you'd want it up front? So there's things like that that just don't really make sense. And like there's a lot of stuff that you have to do either at like a church or a statue. Like if you want to save, you have to go into a church, or if you want but there's like 5 other things that you have to do, and that you can do there. Like if you like resurrect a team member and stuff. I haven't really run into a situation where I need to do that, but it's one of those things where I can already see it and go, this is going to be really annoying further on in the game, probably. So there's just like it's from what I've heard, this is one of the more accessible Dragon Quest titles, but there are certain elements where I'm like, this is just so weird on a quality of life level. But like I said, I'm going to try to give it a little bit more of a shot, just because the rest of the game is super charming. Like there's my favorite early enemy is there's a walking cucumber called a cruel cumber, and I'm like, I love it. I love it. And they're just the design of the enemies is super cute. Like, I'm not a huge fan of Akira Toriyama's art. Like, I think it's fine, but it's not like something that I think, wow, this is really spectacular. But the enemy design is really good. So I might be becoming more of a fan.
This is kind of a higher level question, but what platform are you playing it on?
PS4.
Okay, because right now it's out on PC, PS4, and Xbox, right?
I think so.
Switch?
I thought Switch was coming later.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was thinking about waiting for Switch, but I just decided to get PS4 because I was interested in trying it. I think in Japan it was
on Switch.
Oh, it's also on 3DS.
What?
I don't know if it's on 3DS in the US, but it's
different Dragon Quest.
What? 3DS? Really?
I'm looking at the Wikipedia page, and it's like it's released in Japan.
It's like the same story, but it's like a different. It's like top down, like
weird.
16-bit. It looks like
weird.
Oh, huh.
I mean, that's kind of cool, but
I think maybe no, this is like Dragon Quest retro area, so never mind. Hold on.
Yeah. So
what's going on?
That's very strange.
So it
Regardless,
looks like the 3DS version isn't coming to the West at all, which is.
It still blows my mind that Nintendo's putting out so many 3DS games, or like so many 3DS exclusive games, I should say.
Yeah, I mean, I played one earlier this year with WarioWare.
WarioWare, yeah.
Yeah, it's weird, and I mean, I like my new 2DS, so I'm not super complaining. It's just weird.
Yeah, like I think the 3DS is a fantastic platform too, but like,
how long did Sony put out PS2 games?
But they put out like Madden.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, like, the Switch is like a year and a half old or whatever.
That's true.
The 3DS sold so many units.
Yeah.
Like, part of that is people like selling and upgrading, and or like having multiple. But
that's true. And
like,
to be fair,
putting out their flagship games.
Yeah, like if I was a parent and I had a child, I would be much more likely to give my kid like one of those block 2DSs rather than a Switch.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I bought my new 2DS like pretty close to when I bought my Switch, just because there are so many great games on the. I do because I do.
You have a sickness. That's why.
I do have a sickness. Well, and I buy portable systems way later than I probably should. That's my sickness.
Are you down with it?
Yes.
Ooh,
But I mean, I use my 3DS a lot, so but I don't know if that's just me being weird and liking my portable systems.
Oh, I think it's great. Anyway, sorry, yeah. PS4, Dragon Quest,
yeah,
cool.
PS4. So I'm just going to try and give it a little bit more of a shot. Both Sam and I were convinced to get it from a Kotaku article where somebody was just like raving about Dragon Quest.
Have you seen the video they made for it? Because it's amazing.
It's really good. Yeah,
it's like 45 minutes long, and it's engaging the entire time.
It is. I watched that entire video, and I went to the store and bought Dragon Quest. But I do really like JRPGs, so it's it was already something I was interested in, and Dragon Quest is one of those big series that I played a little bit of Dragon Quest VII on 3DS, but not too much. So I was just interested in giving it a shot. So I'm hopefully once things get a little bit more complicated combat wise, and it's not just hitting attack over and over on slimes, it'll be a little bit more engaging. But yeah, so I've been playing that, and also I've been playing a horror game, which is not something I normally would say, but I've been playing Little Nightmares. I got in a Humble Monthly, and I decided, let's just stream that. So I've been streaming it on my Twitch, and it's spooky. It's really good. The only thing that is a little bit wonky is some of the controls are a little bit weird, and I definitely had to look up some reviews to make sure it wasn't just me being bad at the game, because that's a very real possibility. But it's I think the closest comparison I could make is something similar to like a Limbo or an Inside, where it's a lot more about the atmosphere and about going places than actual precision and platforming. But there are certain moments where it wants you to be kind of precise with your platforming, and those are the moments where I struggle.
Like
and
the horror games of old, where it's scary because the controls are bad.
It kind of is, because there's a certain point in the game where the run button is on one button, then there's jump on the other one, and then the right trigger is like gripping, so that you need to use that if you want to, say, go up a ladder or to climb up something. So there have been multiple times where I'm like holding the two buttons for run and jump on the controller, and holding the right trigger to grip, and it's just like I'm this giant claw going like it's just like uncomfortable. And if that was part of the experience, that would be good. I think it's I kind of wish it was a little bit less hard, just mostly not necessarily because I think hard games are bad, just because I started getting desensitized to some of the scares while I was streaming, because I just died so many times. I'm like, oh, okay, well, I know what this is gonna be. So there's no real. So even though there's some scary imagery, it's like, well, I already know what it looks like for this to kill me. So so the kind of shock of new scares is a little bit lessened because of the kind of wonky controls and attempts at platforming. But I think that if you like scary games and you're looking for something kind of spooky this Halloween season, I think it's definitely something to check out. Just because it looks very good. It's a very good looking game, and then also it is genuinely really spooky. There's some designs of the characters in there that genuinely really creeped me out. Cheska was actually watching me on Twitch the other night, and we both were like, what was that? At one of the enemies, because it was just so weird, and it like came out of nowhere. We're like, I was like, what?
Yeah.
And I saw the chat. What was that?
Yeah, I was watching your stream today, and you were talking. There was like the big dude with the arms and the
That was so
bandages.
creepy.
And yeah, you were like, "This is the first time I've actually been creeped out by this whole game."
Yeah. Well, because it's I'm normally somebody that does get really scared by these games, but I think again it's just because I've been marginally bad at this game that it just a lot of the fear goes away, and I just kind of want to beat it. So. And I looked it up, and it wasn't just me, so that made me feel a little bit better. but yeah, I think it's definitely worthwhile if you are looking for something creepy, Halloween season, because I know this time of year I just want to play some kind of a couple spooky games. So that's been fun, and it's been fun to stream it just because it's forcing me to play a scarier game than I would normally play. What I feel like I was going to bring something else up. That might be it. I've just been also continuing on with Persona 3 Portable, and I love that game. Cool. And I'm not ready for it to end. I think I'm getting close-ish to the real ending.
What's the date in the game?
It's in January, so
okay, yeah, usually pretty close to the end of those games.
Yep, it's January, and there was a big decision I had to make that would have potentially ended the game early, I think so.
Yeah, Persona likes doing those.
Yeah, well, it was pretty obvious, and the game literally tells you like, this is a
would
big
you like
decision.
to end the game?
And it like went over this decision you had to make for like literally a full month before in game before you actually had to make it. So it's like, this is I get that this isn't just like a flavor choice, like it's a legit choice. But
so sorry, go ahead, Andre.
Oh, I was just wondering. I was like, because Persona 4 has a similar, like, if you want the true ending, you have to make this like series of like dialogue choices, and it doesn't give you any like hint of that.
Oh,
I wonder if Persona. I can't remember if Persona 5 did anything like that, or if you just get the ending no matter what.
Persona 5 was pretty straightforward.
I think there is one spot where you can like say a thing and then like you get credits, but then it's like, no wait, that's not what's supposed to happen.
I think that comes in one of the interviews with what's Mako's sister? I forget her name.
Oh, I forget, but yeah, maybe there. Oh yeah, no, there is a way that you can fail that section.
Yeah.
Right?
Allison.
Yes.
What is your strategy? Like, Persona games, they always have you have a month to complete this dungeon. Do you just go in there like the first day and get it done as soon as possible and then have all that time for social links, or?
Yep, that is what I do.
Yeah, same here.
Well, usually, like with Persona 3, they have all the Tartarus bosses. So usually I do about 2 a night, and if I'm starting to get kind of tired of it and you start getting all the messages about your characters in your party getting tired, then I'm like, okay, I'll leave it there. But then I'd go like immediately the next night and just grind until I finished, and then I leave it all to social links. Although with Persona 3, that's been a little bit annoying, mostly because a lot of the social links are really dependent on if you're in school, and so a lot of them are kind of locked out because I'm currently on winter break. So I'm like, I can't do social links right now. And it makes me really annoyed at school breaks that in real life made me really happy. But it's like, oh, I hate winter break. Let me go talk to my classmates, because I've maxed most of the social links that are accessible outside of school. So yeah, but I definitely do that with and I need to go in and finish Persona 5, but I definitely did that with Persona 5 too, where I would just completely go and do dungeons as quickly as I possibly could, palaces rather, and then would leave the rest of the time to just chill out and do social links.
Max out your stats and eat beef bowls.
Yeah, my stats have been maxed out for like forever in Persona 3. Because there's only 3 in this. the courage, knowledge, and charm, and those have been maxed out for a couple of months in game. Which
Oh, well, aren't you special?
well, it was mostly because to open up
Humble
certain
brag.
social links, I needed to have like max stats.
Mm-hmm.
Like for like Akihiko, you needed to have like super high charm so that you didn't, because he has a bunch of fangirls, so you needed to be able to be like, yeah, I know, I'm supposed to be here. And for Mitsuru, you needed to have highest intelligence. And for Ken, you needed highest courage. So basically, I wanted to open up those social links. So pretty early on in the game, I kind of, whenever I could, would max out my stats.
Yeah. Did you use a guide at all, or are you just going in YOLO?
Kind of going in YOLO. I have occasionally looked up a guide. I looked up a guide once for some of the social link stuff, especially since I realized a while ago that I fucked up the social link for the person I wanted to romance. So I needed to go back and redo a couple weeks because I realized I had fucked it up. So
Well, that's rough.
yeah, it went pretty fast, and one of those weeks had it was exam week. I also looked up a guide occasionally for exam questions because I was like, you know what?
Yeah, me too. Especially when they do like Japanese history trivia and stuff.
Yeah. Well, there was one where it's like, what was the year that this battle happened? And I'm like, okay, I know that you said it, but I'm not going to remember that. So, but I've been trying to do it pretty blind with the occasional check for in a guide for social link stuff.
Word.
Just because it'd be really shitty if I messed up the social links.
How's the Vita?
I love my Vita. It's sad how much I really love my Vita. It already feels like it's super worth it because I've played so many hours of Persona 3, and now I don't know if I'm gonna go straight into Persona 4 Golden or if I'm gonna hold off and take a little Persona break.
Yeah,
But
Persona burnout's totally a thing.
I feel like I should probably just give myself a little chance to rest before going into Persona 4 Golden. But I mean, because if those were the only 2 games I'd played on my Vita, that's still quite a bit of time. So
200 hours.
right. So like, it's probably pretty worth it to get my Vita. So I'm satisfied with it though. I do always feel a little bit weird when I take it out on the bus because I'm like, will anybody be like, that's a Vita?
You're an old lady. What are you doing?
No, I've already been playing my Switch on the bus, so it's not like
No,
one of
I
those-
mean, you're playing a Vita. You must be old.
Yeah, or they'll.
Hey, I've played my Game Boy Advance on public transit, so
That's
that's
pretty cool.
even.
No, they'll just be like the mocking SpongeBob and be like, "Oh, he pays $400 for an SD card."
I mean, fair. I paid like $50 for my SD card, and it is not big, so.
For the Vita.
Yup.
Yeah, their memory cards were so stupidly expensive.
It's so ridiculous. Well, that's the only real issue I've had with the system because I really like handheld systems in general. So everything else about it's been really good, but it's just so weird that they went with that. You can only use our memory cards and they'll be really expensive. Because
I think they announced recently that production and manufacturing and shipping is going to stop next year.
yeah, I've already seen a lot of people go, wait, they're still manufacturing Vitas, and you know what?
The PS2 almost outlasted the Vita.
I'm definitely not regretting my choice, but that's mostly because I like JRPGs, and I'm looking into playing some of the weirder Japanese games that are on there, and so
like Wonderful Everyday.
Is that on the Vita?
Is that on the Vita?
No, but it's one of the weirder Japanese games.
That is a game that I definitely think, should I pick that? Every time you talk about it, I'm like, should I pick that up? And I haven't yet. Mostly because a lot of the visual novels on Steam just never go on sale.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think it's kind of a shame that the Vita never really took off, and I kind of wish that they'd done better with the memory cards because I feel like I don't know if it would have been a success with the memory card system being different, but that certainly couldn't have helped, because that's a big part of why I didn't pick one up for as long as I did.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it for what I originally bought as a Persona machine, I'm very satisfied with my purchase.
Cool. So Andre, I heard you have a message. You have a message for us?
Yeah, my message is, Allison, you should play, what is it called? Until Dawn, because that's a horror game where you can't really fail. It just keeps going.
I need to play that.
So since October's coming up, you should play that. If you're feeling like something spooky, it's
very good.
One of my favorites.
I've never played it, and I really want to. So.
And then you can, if you listen to Run GFB Radio, you'll finally understand what "get monked" means.
Yes, exactly. Or at least watch the Giant Bomb, Giant Beast playthrough of it. Either way, but I think playing it yourself would be very good.
I haven't watched any. Haven't watched any gameplay videos of it. Or, I mean, I've seen like basic gameplay, but I haven't watched any Let's Plays, mostly because I have generally wanted to play it. So
it doesn't have the issue of lots of horror games where like, oh, I failed this section. I know where the scares are. I have to just do it again. It keeps going, much like a horror movie where everything just keeps happening no matter how much you don't want to watch. I mean, you have to move your characters and stuff and do button presses, but the story doesn't stop because you failed a quick time event or whatever.
Yeah,
which is nice.
A lot of characters can just straight up die in that game.
Yeah, every character can just die.
Yep.
Knowing how bad I've been playing Little Nightmares, all the characters are going to die when I play Until Dawn.
You'll be like
platforming required.
You'll be like that run in Mass Effect 2 where you can get the suicide mission where everybody dies, including Shepard, except for Joker.
My sibling got that ending, and that was kind of hilarious.
Yeah.
And sad, but I kind of love when games can do that, where it's like, well, everybody died. That sucks.
Except for Seth Green.
For Seth.
That's the inevitable heat death of the universe. That's how it's going to be.
Everybody but Seth Green is going to die in the inevitable heat death of the universe. Okay.
But yeah, I've got a message. My name's Andre, and I've got a message to say. The messenger it's pretty okay. The messenger starts off like a 16-bit, I think 16-bit-ish, like Ninja Gaiden type side-scrolling 2D action platformer.
Mm-hmm.
You play as a ninja, and you've got like a sword that just pretty much kills almost everything in 1 to 3 hits, except for like bosses. So that's handy. It's got this really cool mechanic called the cloud step that you have like right away, where if you hit something in the air, like you jump and then you attack in the air, you can jump again, and you can do this indefinitely. So you some of the platforming challenges as you go through the game will require you to like jump, attack like a lantern or like a fireball or something in the air, and then jump again and keep doing that for a ways.
Pretty cool.
Some parts towards the end of the game, or maybe the middle, depending on how you go. I'm just going to spoil the thing. It's a Metroidvania, but that doesn't come in until like 3 to 4 hours into the game.
Mm-hmm. Maybe
more, depending on how well you play. But yeah, so it says, I don't know, the gameplay is pretty good. You don't get like a ton of abilities. You get like most of them you get in like the intro section, or like the before it becomes a Metroidvania. You get like a wingsuit, grappling hook, a shuriken. Maybe you have that at the beginning, but yeah, so you get like a couple abilities, but they get you most of the way through the game. But it has this thing which a lot of games have been doing lately, where it's aware that it's a video game, and like it makes jokes about being a video game, and like I just don't know how I feel about that, because it's happening so much. I'm like, come on, guys, we know it's a video game, but you don't have to tell us that you know it's a video game. I'd rather they just like stuck it out and we're like, okay, here's our lore. Because I think like the story, it's it's a video game story, but it's like somewhat interesting. Um, where wow, this person in this video is just cloud stepping all over the place. There's lots of jokes about and like, oh, this thing was made by John Metroid or whatever. Like, it's like, who's that? It's like, oh, it's just a reference. Don't worry about it.
Does it seem like kind of out of place? Like it's like the 80% of the 90% of the game is pretty self-serious, but then it's just like, oh, I got these references kind of randomly.
Like, yeah, like a lot of the humor, like, whether it's hit and miss, it's like fine. It's just like, okay, you missed on that one. But like the reference stuff is just like, why is it here? I felt that way about what is it? Death's Gambit has like you have to basically, it's like you have to do the thing from Dark Souls. Like they don't say do the thing from Dark Souls. They say like what the actual like beginning of Dark Souls is, where like, oh, you have to go ring the 2 bells or whatever. It's like, yeah, okay, I get, like, you're telling us that you're aware that you're like pulling from another game in like the genre. Like, okay, people either know or they don't know, but being like, oh, we know that why? Because it's not like, they're not even good jokes. They're just like, oh, here's like, oh, John Metroid, ha ha ha.
Right, like you remember Metroid? We do too.
Yeah. So
I have a question for after, but yeah.
Yeah. It's the writing is kind of hit and miss. I think the gameplay is pretty solid though. Like once you get to the, they need more fast travel points though, because it takes a really long time to get through places, and there's no like quick movement. It's just you're running the same speed the entire time. So there's like, you get to points where like you can grapple to stuff, but you can't grapple to everything because grappling hook just goes in a straight line for a set distance. And so if you don't have anything to grapple onto, you can't really do anything. And there's not a fast travel point in every area, which is inexplicable. But they do some really cool like world building stuff. Once you go into like, you like get to shops, and then you can like tell the shopkeeper like, oh, tell me a story. And then he'll tell you like some weird like parable, but they all have like locations in the game that you can find. So you can like, oh, here's like the 2 people frozen in a block of ice from this one story he told me, or like here's this house from this other story. So like they set up like a really interesting world, or theoretically they have a lot of lore for some reason, but I just. Yeah, some of the writing, but and then the end, they do like the to be continued.
Oh
no!
Thing. It's like you didn't need to do that. Like if you were to make a second one, like okay, do it, but like why put that in?
Just completely unnecessary, I guess.
That's a bit of a bummer.
Yeah. Like I thought like the end was cool, and then that kind of like ruined it a little bit. Was like, to be continued. Like, okay, fine, I guess, but also why? So yeah, the humor is very hit and miss on it, but it's fun to play. So I would recommend playing it if you are into Metroidvania type games / like platformers, because it's not like the most difficult platforming, but it's got some challenges. There are like challenge rooms where you get like these power coins. I didn't collect all of them, but you get something if you do. I don't know what it is though.
Right. Roughly how long is it?
Let me see what my playtime is on Steam, because I stopped playing basically right after I finished. I might have left it running a little bit, but let's see the messenger. I clocked in at 11 hours, so maybe 10 to 11.
It's relatively meaty.
Yeah, for like whatever, I think it's like $20 or something. So it's not like a terrible deal, but also the writing is kind of like maybe.
Yeah. So
maybe.
Yeah, what I was going to ask, but related but unrelated, when it comes to references and kind of fourth wall breaking, like I'm a video game kind of things. What are some of your favorites that have done that? Because like I know for me, actually playing Spec Ops was a pretty good one recently. Because near the end, like if you die or if you hit loading screens, it starts saying stuff like "this is all your fault" and kind of stuff like that, which I think is a good way to handle it. But
Metal Gear 2,
mhm.
I need scissors 61 or whatever.
Yeah.
Like that stuff. What else? Stanley Parable.
That game, that's like the entire game.
Yeah, and it does it well. It does it
Yeah.
I would say Nier Automata did some really, really good stuff.
well. Like
Especially with its, especially if you deleted your save.
The ending stuff, yeah.
It's kind of played out, but I mean, people not played out. People have talked about it a lot, but Undertale, when you
Sure.
get close to the ending, did pretty well. And then also
I think
my
there's a lot of stuff in Undertale that like makes use of that information, like the pacifist and endings and stuff.
yeah, or
Doki Doki
also,
Literature Club.
that's what I was just thinking of.
Because it will call out your Windows username and you use your first name.
And it also recognizes if you're streaming, because I've definitely watched people watch Let's Plays or streams where they're like, oh, there's other people, and it does a special scare for that.
Yeah.
Super Paper Mario 2, where there's there's like the section which is kind of a take on dating sims, and Peach Laura is like, hey, who's picking these responses for me? that I love. A lot of people didn't really like Super Paper Mario, but I really love it. So.
Mm-hmm.
It can be done well. It's just when it's the whole thing is, hey, remember this other game?
Right.
Why?
Sure.
I think it'd be done well if it's. I think it'd be really effective, like especially in like a Doki Doki Literature Club setting, where for scares or for or like an
to make you
Undertale,
to make you uncomfortable. Be like, oh,
right,
this is clever.
Right. But if it's just like, hey, remember Mario? Remember Metroid? Who doesn't like Metroid? It's like, yeah, but I'm playing this game now.
Yeah, it's like all those, like I can't even think of them. There's so many that are just like, oh, Triforce, ha ha ha, kind of stuff.
Right.
I think there might have been something like that in maybe not. I don't remember. Also in Guacamelee 2, they have everyone, or not everyone, but a lot of people complained about like all the meme stuff in the first Guacamelee.
Yeah.
And it seemed kind of dialed back in Guacamelee 2. Like there were a bunch of posters and jokes, but nothing as ridiculous or like, that like dates the game as much as the stuff in Guacamelee 1 does. But then you get to an area called the Cave of Dankness.
Yeah, you mentioned that one. It's so good.
It's just all memes. It's like, basically the memes from the first game and just a bunch of people. I don't know if they're like actual comments or just like mocking comments of like people who complained about the memes. But they look like internet, like a bunch of people just saying like internet comment bullshit about like, oh, that game would have been good if it wasn't for all the memes. And it's just surrounded by memes. And then it's just relegated to that one area. So it's like perfectly fine.
That's fantastic.
It's weird because I feel like I don't mind
messages the whole way. It's like Cave of Dankness, beware.
I feel like I don't mind like meme humor, but at the same time, there's certain instances where I just really don't like it. But then in certain instances, I like it. So I don't even know.
Like memes, what bugs me is when people call things that aren't memes.
Yeah, I feel it.
It's a picture with with text on it, so it's a meme. No, it's not. Did you not play Metal Gear Solid 2? That game's all about memes. Kojima said so.
And cartwheeling naked.
Yeah. I know this guy who says, "Oh, he's such a meme about people," and I'm like, "What do you? Oh my god!" So one time he said it, and I was like, "Yeah, that guy is a meme." But that's so The Messenger, people should consider playing it. It's a Devolver game, so it's kind of typical of their style and attitude. I think the one thing is maybe enemy variety isn't like super great. And one of the things, enemy variety is like kind of you're fighting pretty much the same enemy in every area. And like some of them are just like palette swaps that take like a few more hits to kill.
Mm.
But it does some cool stuff. It's got really nice art. So yeah, worth checking out. Maybe on sale or something if you're like unsure.
Does the feeling does when it goes from just like the platform to a Metroidvania, does that feel pretty fluid, or does it make sense really in the
Yeah. I mean, throughout the whole time, like you see things where like, I should be able to get there, but I can't. That's weird. And so like they kind of, I think they even like showed it off beforehand, but yeah, so it feels good to play, and like once you like unlock some more abilities, you're like, oh, okay, I can understand how I would get here. The big thing is like I wish there's more fast travel and or like a way to like move quickly through levels, which doesn't really exist at all. But it's a cool thing, and like I think it plays really well. They just kind of missed the mark on some spots, like enemy design and writing at times. And speaking of games that miss the mark on writing sometimes and design, it's designed well, but Shadow of the Tomb Raider. I don't know how I feel about that game. It's still too fresh. There are things about it I like a lot. The photo mode being one of them is very good. I talked about that last week. And like the temples are all very good. All of the temples I played like felt really cool and like substantial. Whereas in like, especially the first, like the 2013 reboot, they felt very like small and like tiny. And like, oh, I threw this like, I like pushed a thing off this ledge and then basically it like lifted a platform and then I'm done. They felt a bit like, they took like a few minutes to figure out and then like execute on. And this one, it felt like sometimes though, it wasn't clear what I was supposed to do or like why I couldn't, like why I wasn't progressing, which was a bummer. But yeah, but I think the temple design is very good, and that is kind of the majority of the gameplay is actually like reading the tombs, which is cool. It felt like after playing for a while, I was like, it feels like there's a lot less combat than previous games. And upon like, getting some comments from other people, that seems to be the case. Like everyone kind of feels that way. Which is weird because they give you the opportunity to buy guns a lot. Like there are multiple times you can get new guns. Like there's not really any reason to. Like you can go most of that game just using a bow and arrow. There are probably some points where you don't want to do that if you're playing on like harder difficulties, I guess. But like the combat encounters are so few and far between that it's really weird that they have all these like that you even have like guns or need to upgrade them, because you really don't need to. Like if you're getting into gunfights a lot, you're kind of playing the game wrong, I think. Like you want to cover yourself in mud and hide in some bushes and then stab fools in the neck.
As you do.
Yeah,
I think that's what Laura wants as well.
About right.
That's what makes her feel good inside. But yeah, so that brings me to kind of my problem with the writing is there's one specific scene. It's pretty late in the game, but basically Laura's told minor spoilers for like one sequence, but Laura's told her friend is dead. If you're anyone smart, you're like, he's not dead. Obviously, this is all ploy by the people to like, make me think he's dead. Like they told, oh, we killed him is basically what happened. They tell you over the radio. Laura goes on a murderous rampage. Like I sent you guys that photo of her rising out of like the water with the fire behind her, and she comes out and she like stabs a guy just like mercilessly, because normally she like struggles with people. This was just like, this guy was like terrified of Laura and like crawling away. And then she picks up his gun, and then the people who have guns trained on you, they get scared and they start to run away. And like, so you go through this whole thing of her just like destroying people. And then afterwards, she busts out in tears as soon as she sees that the guy's not dead. And like, you've been murdering people this whole time, but now you act like you just did some terrible thing. And it's, I don't know if it's ludonarrative dissonance or I don't know. I guess it's not ludonarrative dissonance because she is responding to, you know, how fucked up she is. But then the rest of the game, it's just like, oh, it's fine. It's okay. I'm just killing these people. But then when I have like, you know, when she's in even more danger than usual, when she's being shot at by like a gunship, no problem. That's when the problem does arise with her. So it is very strange.
Does the story tie up in a way that makes you think like they're not going to make another one of these?
Absolutely not.
Oh, bummer.
Yeah, and in like a very upsetting way, kind of not an upsetting way, but like in a very like it wraps up the meta narrative, I guess, or like the overarching narrative of the past 3 games. It like wraps up with like Trinity, but it does not wrap up Laura's story or whatever. You know, there are room for more games if they want to, or if there is, you know, if there is interest, but I don't know if this game is performing super well. It seems like people are pretty meh on it, and reviews are extremely mixed. So, I mean, you know, they've got this whole franchise, so I could see them like continuing it, but hard to say.
Well, it's kind
you
of
know
a
how
bummer.
Square Enix can be with I mean, they were like Hitman was like super beloved and did really pretty well, and then they're like, oh, it did meet expectations, and then got rid of was it IO? So
yeah,
who knows what Square's gonna do. That was, yeah, so the game does a lot of like time skips, you know, for like, and Uncharted does those too, and like they're telling, you know, they're similar in like the scope of like the story they're trying to tell. Like, you know, there's bad guy wants ancient artifact and it could be bad for people, so that it's like that kind of narrative. But with like the way Uncharted, like Nathan Drake's always like this happy-go-lucky, like, oh, bumbling through everything. I think it works when like the time skips, because it's like, oh, he's just bouncing from one like ridiculous situation to the next. Whereas with Laura, it's like she goes from the super traumatic situation to super traumatic situation, but it's never really addressed. Like, she's dealing with a lot of shit, but not addressing any of it ever really. So, or when she is, she doesn't address it. She doesn't address it at all. So, yeah, I think the writing is all over the place in that game, and it's a bummer because they could have done something really cool, but it's filled with contradictions. So
yeah, because I played a lot of the first one, and I just didn't really get into the second one as much, and I'd like to finish that and pick this up, but I'm probably going to wait until Super Sale and just go and finish it. But
it's fun to explore and like do all the temples and stuff. Like, that's all really good stuff. It's just like the narrative is like, what is going on here?
It's a shame because I feel like
Assassin's Creed 3 levels of like, what the fuck is this?
It's just a shame because I feel like it could be really good, but
actually, like the narrative is very Assassin's Creed 3 meta narrative. Like the sun, like there's something with the sun. There's an eclipse, but like I don't know why the eclipse is bad. Like I'm really not sure.
Yeah, I don't know. Everything I've heard about like people talking about this game has been a very tepid response. So
Some people like it, some people not so much, and like I can totally see why on both ends. I think there are some very good things and then some very not good things. Like the combat encounters that are there aren't super well designed, so it's good they're short. Like the first one, like there were like you'd end up in like combat arenas that would be like multi-wave, like in like giant areas. And this, they're pretty contained, small things. So I don't know what led to that, but it was probably the smart decision. The stealth sequences are pretty good though when they, when you're actually trying to be stealthy. So that was cool. Also started Yakuza 6. I don't know if we have a video for it, but I just spent last night doing mini games mainly and like some side quests. Man, there's a lot of talking in that game. Like holy shit. Like so I'm very early in the story. I played like the prologue demo and then I was waiting for it to go on sale, which it did on the Sony Flash sale. It's like $36 right now, which is like a much better sale than I was expecting. I was expecting like, maybe if like, 45 or something, I'll pick it up, but 36, I was like, oh, okay, yep, definitely getting it. But yeah, so there was like a story. So the basic story, at least as far as I can tell at the moment, is Kiryu. So it picks, like the beginning of the game picks up at the end of Yakuza 5, is my understanding, where Kiryu's adopted daughter is it's like a J-pop idol, but she's announcing her retirement from the J-pop industry. Meanwhile, Kiryu is in like a life or death battle and wins because he's plot armor, and then is taken to a hospital somehow. I don't remember the fine details, but yeah. So I think while Kiryu is in his battle, and Haruka, his adopted daughter, is announcing her retirement, she's like saying, I was raised by like a Yakuza man. My dad is in the Yakuza, but he's a good man, like orphanage and all this stuff or whatever. So yeah, she quits being an idol and goes back to the orphanage in Okinawa, where she like was helped open in like a previous game. And then Kiri goes to prison for a few years. Then Haruka like leaves because she's getting bad attention for the orphanage because they're like, oh, Yakuza orphanage. And then she disappears, and Kiri is trying to find her like 4 years later. So that's kind of the basic setup: is your daughter's missing, you don't know where she is, and yeah. So you're back in Kamurocho, and you're walking around doing your thing. Some guy on the street's like, hey, you should try out Hijiri, I think it's Hijiri or Hiji, this new like smartphone assistant. And then you get into this long conversation. You're like, oh, I don't want to talk to my phone in public. I'm going to go to this children's park to talk to the phone. Get into this long conversation. The phone's like, oh, do you want me to sound younger or sexier or like cuter or whatever? And then so you can say like, no, you sound perfect, or I want you to be younger, I want you to be sexy. Like, okay. And then
weird.
You're like, you can like ask some questions like, are you going to like, do you want to destroy humanity? And you get into all these, and then the AI starts talking about like that bitch other AI that has like the global market cornered. And like, I don't know if it's supposed to be like a Siri or something that it's talking about. And then it's like, oh, if you leave this park, something interesting will happen to you. And then you walk out and some lady runs up and is like, help me, this guy's like harassing me. And then she's like, the AI told me you would help me. So, and then you fight this guy, and then the AI is like, I know who you are, you're the Dragon of Dojima, I looked you up online. And so either there's a real person, which like they hint at through the dialogue, there's a real person on the other end, or this AI actually like, is a good AI, and it could go either way with Yakuza. So I wonder, like, that's probably going to come in more because it's installed on your phone, which is like your start menu and where you do like your upgrades and stuff. So I imagine this AI will play a bigger part in the game going forward, or at least in like side stuff, because it's not like main story. And then also one of the side missions or side minigame things is you can go to a internet cafe, and in the internet cafe you can live chat with like girls who will strip for you, and it's just like softcore porn basically, which is, you know, not uncommon for those games. But the minigame is, as Kiryu, who has been in prison for a few years and is not very computer literate, you are using the D-pad to hunt and peck, or not the D-pad, the like the face buttons, triangle, circle, X, and square to hunt and peck messages for him to write in, like "Oh baby" or "Rub rub rub," and it's growing. And so, like, as you say these things, the woman is like, it's like FMV, and the woman, they're probably like actual cam models or like porn stars or whatever, but they're responding to the messages like, "Oh, what's growing?" And there are other people in the chat room who are also talking, but like she's just responding to you. And one of the girls is like, "You're weird, but I like weird." Kiryu is just, I think one of them is boobies.
That seems like the right thing to type in any chat room.
Yeah, and it's like all caps all the time, and it's mostly exactly what goes into the chat. Sometimes it'll add like a word or two onto the end, but for the most part, just you're hitting in like the right button combination. Like each letter is a button, and so you're just like hunt and pecking, and you can see him like in the camera, like poking at the keyboard. It's very funny.
That sounds real dumb.
Yeah, it's very dumb. There's no like satisfaction to be gained from, or like I don't even know if there's any. I think you get like some experience if like you successfully do the inputs, but basically it's just to see here you go, "Oh yeah," and like type things. That's very funny.
All macho man on you. Okay.
Yeah.
That's
Ooh, yeah. I have not seen any New Japan Pro wrestlers in the game yet, but I know they are there, and also beat Takeshi. So I am excited to play more of that game. But god damn, every sequence when you get into a conversation is so long. It seems even longer than Zero. Like there are some sequences in Zero where there were long conversations, but holy shit. Yeah, I look forward to playing more of that game.
cool.
Anything else that anyone wants to talk about?
Really super briefly, we were talking about Telltale, but let's pour another one out for Capcom Vancouver.
Oh yeah.
Oh, that sucks.
Yeah, not much to say about it. The last Dead Rising game sucked. Or it wasn't great, and then they made the puzzle fighter that was also kind of bad, but
yeah.
But
yeah.
Still a bummer.
Yeah, it sucks when like there are studios like in like Capcom. I don't know. Capcom's probably publicly traded. They're a Japanese company. I don't know how that works, but like when studios like or when like ZeniMax or like Bethesda or whoever is in that situation, like games like Prey and are Dishonored, like they don't do super well commercially, but they do well critically, and they're able to stay open. So I wonder if like the Dead Rising games had been like well received, if that would have done anything to like actually keep them afloat.
I mean, it would probably be more incentive to pump money into it if you had critically successful games.
Yeah.
It's hard to say though.
Because like Capcom's been doing well with Monster Hunter. Resident Evil 7 didn't do well financially for them, is my understanding. Like it wasn't like a super breakout hit, even though it was very good. But yeah, so I wonder if like if Resident Evil 2, because it's got like this nostalgia factor, if that'll be like a bigger success for them, or you know what ends up happening, because they keep pumping out like bad games like Resident Evil 6, even though they were pumping out bad games like Resident Evil 6, but I think that game did well for them. I don't know. Finances are weird.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. Well, also it's just kind of, I don't know, especially with the Telltale stuff, you start realizing, oh, these games that I feel like everybody knew about or ended up not being profitable. And I mean, I get that that's everybody knew about it in the video game, enthusiast group.
Mm-hmm.
So that doesn't necessarily lead to widespread commercial success. But hearing stuff like how, like The Walking Dead season 1 and Minecraft are their only profitable things was like kind of a shock to me.
Because they kept making those games, they kept getting the deals, so you'd figure like
Right.
they'd have like return on investment stuff for like deals that, like, hey, here's what you can expect for when they go to people, and maybe they're just missing the mark. But yeah, it's
Right, because it's like I just, especially getting stuff like the Guardians of the Galaxy license and Stranger Things and Batman, I felt like, oh, would they give those licenses away if these games weren't successful? And apparently,
Yeah.
business.
Business.
It's not my strong suit.
well, me neither. And I'm not necessarily a huge fan of all of the business strategies that kind of brought us to this place of kind of constant expansion and need for growth.
Also, not my strong suit. Ending podcasts, but we're gonna try. Because I think that's going to do it for us this week. We will be back. Some of us, I think, Allison, myself, Sam, Pat, and is Erica coming to that one? I don't know. We'll find out. I don't know if she's finished. We'll be talking about Spider-Man. Oh, and Chris Edgerton, friend of the podcast. Chris Edgerton will be joining us to talk about Spider-Man. Marvel's PS4 Spider-Man. That game.
What's it called?
Spider-Man. I think also we'll talk about this more at the start of it, but I'm assuming we're doing full story spoilers.
Yes, so it will be a spoiler cast. So yeah,
hella spoilers.
I don't know if that will be live, but you can find it at fix.space or wherever podcasts are sold.
Yep. It should be live. Pat will be hosting it, not me. Or as in like the technological side of things.
Okay. And then, Alex, where can people find you?
If you go to telltale.com/community/profile/gamingfix, there's a profile there.
Jesus Christ. Okay. Allison?
You can find me on Twitter at WRITERSERENYTY, and I've started streaming on Twitch again, not Switch.
Streaming on Switch.
Started streaming on Switch. I'm just going to use that like share button that's on there and do it to the full extent. No, on Twitch. My Twitch username is Happy Beeps here, and lately I've been streaming Little Nightmares, but I'm probably going to be doing some more. I know that's not a terribly long game, so once I'm done with that, I'll probably find some other creepy game or some kind of appropriate game. I might do.
It was free on PS Plus. Until Dawn was free on PS Plus like a year ago.
Yep.
So you should have it unless you were too chicken to download it or put it in your library.
I have it. I'm really bad about putting some of those games in my library, so I may not. But
I don't even know what the free games are this month.
I don't either.
For September or October?
Yeah, for September. They haven't announced. They'll probably announce October on Wednesday. Or they'll announce on like the 4th. Because sometimes they're late. They don't do like the 2nd.
Yeah, I think this month was... Sorry.
Wednesday or the next Wednesday?
Yeah, I think this month was Destiny 2 and some other stuff. But
right, that's why.
Yeah.
I
already have that.
Right. Well, you can find me on Twitter at Coolsauce, COOLSL4W, and in an electronics store trying to find replacement headphones while Sony fucking does or does not replace my broken This is a documented issue with these headphones, apparently, that I did not see before I requested them as a gift. Sony 1000 MDR 1000X, and I think the X2, like the new model, both have this issue where there's no support in the headband above the hinge, which results in cracking and resulted in just a clean crack through the headband. So, yeah, gotta go buy some new headphones because these earbuds I got in, the left side barely works because I washed them like 3 times on accident.
You're really good at ending podcasts.
Go long. I said real bad. We're a family here at Gaming Fix, and we should be able to share our problems.
We should.
I just want to say, don't buy those headphones from Sony. Don't buy the 2X or whatever, because they will break. It's documented. Sony knows they won't fix it. Sony, you're losing me.
You're
20
slipping.
years. 20 years. You're losing me. Spider-Man's pretty good, though.
In the Vita.
That's true. And my Vita.
Oh, man. Captain Marvel. Ooh, Captain Marvel.
Whoa. Wait, why?
Oh, no, Captain Marvel. Like, Captain Marvel. I want Captain Marvel to beat me up. That's all I'll say about that. That's going to do it for this
What
podcast.
prompt? Okay, whatever. Yeah, thank you.
I
Have a
thought
good
about
day.
Marvel and Spider-Man and Captain Marvel.
Oh, okay.
Spider-Man was my favorite until Captain Marvel took over.
Okay, that
Captain
makes
Marvel's
sense.
real
Now.
good.
Yeah. So yeah, that's gonna do it. Goodbye, everybody. Have a good one.
Bye. Talk to you tomorrow, Andre.
Talk to you later. It'll be
Later for you. Yeah.
tonight
Yeah.
for me. But yes.
Tomorrow for me.
All right. Bye, Anara.
Bye.
Siyada Zane.
Sorry, Masen. Ariga, thanks, Gozai much. All right, let's get out of here.